On November 5th, Frau picks up the notes she has been writing over the past few months and decides to put together a detailed report explaining how she ended up stuck in a cabin in the mountains. It all begins in May, when Frau goes on a trip with 2 friends and their dog Lynx. Frau is not used to animals and feels a little uncomfortable around the poor guy. When they finally arrive at the cabin, they settle in and the friends decide to visit the pub in a nearby village. Frau is tired, so she stays behind with Lynx. Bored, she tries to pet the dog, only for Lynx to snap at her. She spends the day doing beauty care, smoking, and exchanging awkward looks with the dog. In the end she turns in early. The next morning Frau wakes up to find Lynx crying by the door. She lets him out so he can do his business and she looks around the house, only to find that her friends have not returned. Worried something may have happened to them, Frau starts making her way to the village with Lynx walking ahead of her. Suddenly she hears him cry and rushes to his side. It seems he somehow bumped his nose but she cannot see what caused it. Frau keeps going but instead of following her, Lynx turns back. After a few steps, Frau walks straight into an invisible wall. Confused, she touches it with her hands, confirming there is a barrier there that will not let her through. She could also hear a pounding sound, but it turns out to be her own heartbeat. Frau finds it strange that no alarms went off and no curious villagers came to look at the barrier. No matter how hard she pushes, she cannot get through, so she decides to head back. Down the road, she spots a farmhouse with 2 people, but the invisible wall stops her from reaching them. Her voice does not carry past the barrier and the farmers appear to be completely frozen in time, although water keeps flowing from the tap. Giving up, Frau returns to the cabin and has a smoke as she realizes Lynx is now her only companion. Refusing to accept the situation, she goes back to the road and pushes again but nothing works. Not knowing what else to do, Frau goes to bed. Suddenly she hears a strange sound and tries going outside to check, but when she opens the door she finds the barrier is now blocking the entrance of the house. Frau starts screaming only to wake up in her bed, where Lynx is already there greeting her. She immediately checks the door and confirms everything is fine. Then she heads out for a walk, and writing in the present, Frau notes she does not remember what else she did that day. It is as if the weight of the situation puts her mind in a fog. Frau returns to the cabin at 2 and uses her friend's binoculars to look out over the area. The couple at the farmhouse still has not moved and she concludes they have passed away, along with the villagers. She thinks about her friends and wonders if she should have gone with them to face the end together. At that moment Lynx starts barking and runs off. When Frau follows him, she discovers he has found a cow. At first she steps back in fear, but then she slowly approaches the animal and makes friends with her, bringing her back to the cabin for milk. Frau names the cow Bella, noting she is both a blessing and a responsibility. The following day, Frau gets in her friend's car and drives toward the village, hoping the speed will be enough to push through. She can even spot an abandoned vehicle on the other side, which gives her a little hope. Unfortunately it does not work and the car crashes against the barrier. Ignoring her wound, Frau touches the wall as she tries to understand the meaning behind it. For the next 10 days, Frau looks for a way to cross the barrier but finds nothing. She finally faces reality and breaks down in bed as she accepts that nobody is coming for her. She even thinks about ending it all, but she remembers her friends have stocked the cabin with supplies and instead makes up her mind to survive and honor their memory. The supplies include plenty of wood and some potatoes, so Frau brings them outside and starts her own potato farm. Lynx digs alongside her, eager to help. As the days go by, Frau winds the clocks every morning and keeps track of the date by marking off a calendar. On May 30th, it rains all day so Frau decides to stay inside. However, she starts hearing a strange noise and goes to check with a knife in hand, only to find a wet cat meowing at the door. The cat also gets taken in and now Frau has 3 animal friends. Lynx has become her closest companion in a world full of loneliness. Eventually Frau decides to try hunting. She has never used a weapon before and when she tries to take down a deer, she gets hurt by the recoil and the animal runs off in fear. As she wanders around, she finds the wrecked car again and checks the radio, but most of the stations have static and only one has music. She also finds a map, so she decides to follow it and try to reach the valley. Lynx comes along and they walk for many hours until they find an abandoned truck. Frau tries to get closer, but unfortunately the barrier is in the way and they have to turn back. After lots of exploring using the map, Frau learns all the different areas inside the barrier. Now she can take the quickest paths to the valleys, allowing her to come and go in the same day without leaving the other animals alone for too long. Sometimes she finds other cabins, but they are always empty. At least she can pick up useful items from them. Lying on the grass with Lynx under the warm sun and listening to the birds singing becomes a meaningful experience for Frau, who now feels much more connected to nature. This makes her feel a little guilty when she tries hunting again, but she needs the deer meat to keep going. At night she has trouble sleeping as she remembers how the deer went down before it passed away. She never writes about her first hunt because she feels unsettled by it. One night, Frau has trouble sleeping because of a very loud thunderstorm. The next morning she hears a noise coming from the cabinet and opens it to discover the cat has welcomed new babies. The kitten is white so Frau names her Pearl. She starts out as a tiny scruffy little thing, but eventually Pearl grows into a real beauty. Frau realizes she keeps herself busy worrying about the animals so she does not have to think too much about her own situation, and that she has swapped the responsibilities of her old working life for the responsibility of caring for her furry companions. On July 20th, Frau starts gathering the hay in the meadow while Lynx quietly stays by her side. It hurts her hands and tires her out, but she still carries the hay back to the cabin every day. On the way back, she always checks on the farmhouse, but the barrier is still there. Between the weather and her physical limits, it takes her about 3 weeks to harvest the entire meadow. Frau starts to truly understand how hard it is to survive and breaks down in tears, but she still does not give up on life because she does not want to leave her animals behind. She goes through a very low period and it takes her another 2 weeks to get back outside and start living again. In the forest, she finds fruit on the trees and other vegetables in the ground, allowing her to gather enough food to last the whole winter. Now Frau and her pets enjoy much better meals. One day, Frau spots strange clothes hanging on a tree and stares at them in fear, but it turns out to only be a bad dream. Autumn is supposed to be her favorite season, yet she has trouble sleeping and the nightmares get worse. She comes down with the flu and spends most of the day feeling worn out, but thankfully Lynx is always there to lift her spirits. Frau is amazed by how he is never in a grumpy mood and often hugs him to show her appreciation for his company. Writing in the present, Frau shares that Lynx is no longer with her, yet she still finds herself talking to him when she goes on walks. On October 27th, the first snow comes down, but it only stays for a few days. Then warm winds arrive, making noise all day and night. It becomes even harder for Frau to sleep. The wind lasts 3 days, and when Frau finally steps outside again, she finds Pearl has passed away. The cat is given a proper resting place under Lynx's watchful eye. Later in the middle of winter, Frau spots a fox by the stream and gets ready to act, but she holds back. She cannot stop thinking about Pearl's passing and how she is the only creature in the forest who understands the difference between right and wrong. In the end, she chooses to show mercy. Back at the cabin, Frau brushes Bella every day, thinking of her almost like a sister now. She notices the cow has become very round and wonders if she might be expecting a calf. Eventually Frau has no choice but to go hunting again, and the weight of the experience makes it hard for her to sleep at night. On January 11th, Frau notices Bella is showing signs of labor and keeps a close eye on her all day. In the evening, she helps Bella welcome an adorable baby calf into the world. The winter days go by filled with heavy snowstorms. Frau struggles deeply during those cold months and only gets out of bed because Lynx pushes her to. Any thoughts of ending it all fade away when she reminds herself she must be there for him. After winter passes, Frau decides to move to one of the cabins in the meadows. On May 25th, she gathers all her animals and they travel together to reach their new home. Seeing the beautiful open fields, Frau feels more hopeful about what is ahead. From then on, she lives peacefully alongside her animals, the stars, and the nature around her. Her memories of those days are so fresh and full that she does not bother taking notes. For the first time, she feels truly at ease. On October 16th, Frau starts writing again and uses most of her time to double her wood supply. Her memories of those days are a little unclear. On December 10th, she comes across an entry she does not remember writing that simply says, "Time passes fast." As snow falls again, Frau becomes more thoughtful and reflects on how both animals and people are pushed through life without always having a choice. One day, she notices a white crow that often flies around the house, overlooked by its darker family. Frau finds the white crow beautiful and feels sad for the way the other crows treat it. She also starts leaving food out for the white crow whenever its group leaves it behind. Eventually 2 years pass of Frau living inside the barrier, and by then she has let go of her old life and also given up hope of ever being found. In early June, she and her animals move to a new house, hoping the fresh start will lift the mood. Unfortunately, she is unable to bring back the magic of that first summer. One afternoon, Frau and Lynx are coming back from a walk when Lynx suddenly senses something near their home and immediately runs toward it. By the time Frau catches up, she is horrified to find a strange man harming Bella's son with an axe. While Lynx jumps on the man to stop him, Frau runs to the house to find her weapon. Unfortunately, she is not fast enough, and when she comes back outside, Lynx has already been taken from her. Heartbroken and furious, Frau takes the man down before holding on to Lynx in complete despair. Afterward, Frau carries his small frame to give him a proper resting place while listening to Bella making sorrowful sounds as she finds her son. The man's remains are sent over the cliff without any regret. No longer able to feel much of anything, Frau gathers Bella and the cat and moves on to another house. Soon Frau returns to her daily work, and without Lynx around, she has to sit alone with her own thoughts. Writing in the present, Frau says she has moved forward and will always carry the memories of her animals with her as a reason to keep on going. She wraps up her report on February 25th because she has no paper left, and heads outside to feed the white crow. Imagine waking up one day completely trapped with no way out and no one coming to help. If you were trapped alone like Frau with only animals for company, which animal would give you the most comfort and why? Frau kept going because of her animals. What is the one thing in your life that would keep you going no matter what? This woman had nothing but a dog, a cow, and the will to keep going against all odds. She spent years completely alone, learning to survive in ways most of us could never imagine. Every single day was a battle between giving up and finding one more reason to carry on. The bond she builds with her animals will honestly warm your heart and break it at the same time. This is one of those stories that reminds you just how strong the human spirit really is. Drop your answers in the comments below, we would love to hear from you. If this story moved you, please hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss another recap like this one.